Thomas Frank has been sacked by Tottenham. The Dane, 52, only took over from Ange Postecoglou in the summer. Sign up for the football newsletter. Thank you. Thomas Frank has been sacked by TottenhamCredit. Getty. Defeat at home to Newcastle proved the final straw credit. Getty. But midway through his first season in charge in N17, he is out of the job. Frank's appointment could cost Spurs as much as £30.7 million minus £6.70 compensation to Brentford and £24 million in wages after he penned a 3-year deal last summer worth £8 million per year. Roberto De Zerbi is the early favourite to take over after unexpectedly quitting Marseille last night. Tottenham confirmed the news of Frank's dismissal in a statement at 10:17 a.m. on Wednesday morning, just 12 hours after full-time in the home defeat to Newcastle. Read more on Tottenham. Spurs said, the club has taken the decision to make a change in the men's head coach position and Thomas Frank will leave today. Thomas was appointed in June 2025, and we have been determined to give him the time and support needed to build for the future together. Best free bets and betting sign-up offers. However, results and performances have led the board to conclude that a change at this point in the season is necessary. Throughout his time at the club, Thomas has conducted himself with unwavering commitment, giving everything in his efforts to move the club forward. Most read in football. We would like to thank him for his contribution and wish him every success in the future. Frank struggled to win over the Spurs fans during his ill-fated tenure and suffered key home defeats to Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Fulham and West Ham. That Hammers victory in January, snatched by Callum Wilson in injury time, was their first in 11 matches. And it piled more pressure on the Tottenham board to axe Frank. The shocking result was a third defeat on the bounce, including being knocked out of the FA Cup, and left Spurs with 1 win in 8. And things have only gotten worse since that nightmare fixture. There was a glimmer of hope Spurs might turn their season around after a convincing 2-0 win over Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League, and their follow-up win over Frankfurt in the competition the week after. But a disappointing 2-2 draw with Burnley, a draw with title hopefuls Manchester City and a loss to Manchester United poured the pressure back on. Matters off the pitch certainly didn't help the Danes' situation, with captain Christian Romero slamming the club's disgraceful transfer inactivity following the closure of the winter window. The Argentinian would go one step further in piling the misery of Frank when he got himself sent off against United, being forced to serve a 4-match ban and leaving his side without one of their few bright sparks this season. The final straw proved to be Tuesday's dreary 2-1 loss on home turf to Eddie Howe's struggling Newcastle side. It was the Magpies' first league win since they defeated Leeds United on January 7. Next Tottenham manager odds. Roberto De Zerbi 8/11, Mauricio Pochettino 4/1, Marco Silva 5/1. Xavi Hernandez 5/1, Andoni Iraola 6/1, Ruben Amorim 15 halves, Robbie Keane 9/1, Oliver Glasner 14/1, Kieran McKenna 14/1, Michael Carrick 22/1, Enzo Maresca 33/1, Xabi Alonso 33/1. Source: Betfair, odds correct at time of writing. Goals from Malik Thiaw and Jacob Ramsey either side of Archie Gray's equalizer continued Frank's run of failing to record a single domestic win in 2026. The result saw Frank booed off the pitch, with some fans even chanting to call for the return of former boss Mauricio Pochettino. Spurs are now winless in 8 Premier League games, and teetering just 5 points and 2 places above the relegation zone. Tottenham finished 17th under Ange Postecoglou last season, prompting the Aussie's sack despite winning the Europa League. Frank's exit came despite insisting last night he was convinced he would take charge of Spurs' next game, the North London Derby on February 22. The Dane said, "I am convinced I will be. I understand that it is easy to point at me, but it is never only the head coach, or the ownership, or the players, or the staff. It is everyone. We are not in a top position now. Everybody knows, directors, ownership and myself, what position we are in and what we need to improve and do better. That is what we are working very hard on." Pressed on if he still thinks he is the right man to take the team forward in the long term, Frank gave a death stare to the reporter and added, "I am 1000% sure." Recommended stories. I am also 1000% sure that I never expected us to be in a situation like this, with 11 or 12 injuries on the back of what we have been facing. But I know, when you need to build something and you need to get through things, you need to show unbelievably strong resilience. Frank arrived at Tottenham last summer after 7 successful years with Brentford Credit, Shutterstock editorial. Frank struggled to get the best out of his injury-hit team Credit. Getty. Being spotted with an Arsenal Cup did not help his cause Credit. PA. Comments.